live.
Okay.
Preparing to.
You're gonna fix that headwind. Or the crack on the table.
Hey y'all. If you're here, welcome to the pre-show.
Pre-show.
Where you get to watch us test our tech and post about our show on social media.
Pre-show.
So where do we want to hear? We don't want to hear our audio, do we?
No, we don't want to hear our audio at all. I don't want to hear our audio.
I don't want to hear it.
Don't want to hear it? Hang on. Okay. So I gotta get the crane in position. Crane. I don't even have to make sound effects. It makes its own.
Yeah.
Oh, watch it. Okay, flip over. Oh, now I gotta pull it up again. All right, hang on. Let's go to. Are we live?
We're live.
Refresh. I gotta refresh the page. Oh, there we are.
One watching. It's
One
probably
watching?
me.
Find out. Matt, say something. Anyone out there in live land? There. That's a trick. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sometimes Facebook. I don't know.
Are you posting to say we're live?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just, okay, it's still going, cool. What else do we need to test? Oh, just these guys.
Is it time for a robot test?
Ooh, robot test. We haven't told anybody about that yet. You think they can guess? Neil's here. Hey, Neil.
Neil,
Woo!
hi.
Neil's been watching us prep all week, I think. Hang on, let's see who else come in.
Hey, Cranky. You're gonna all meet Cranky later.
Guest appearance from Cranky.
What does he say? Oh, I'm really useful.
I'm really useful. Absolutely. I think everybody should be a little bit more useful. Cranky. Blue. Oh. I load, you deliver. Woo! Is really important.
TS 1989.
Taylor Swift sunglasses. What?
Where did you get Taylor Swift's sunglasses?
Where didn't I get Taylor Swift sunglasses? Okay, better do another robot test. Hang on. Oh yeah, the table cam.
Yeah. Skycam.
Skycam. Skycam in the world of tomorrow. Oh yeah, we can see the sparks on that one.
Excellent.
It's
6:31.
Awesome.
Oh, my mom's watching. Hi, Mom. Maybe my dad too. Hi, Dad.
Super Mom Dad shout out. Ooh, can we do a nah, we won't do that.
Do you think that's enough pre-show? It's 6:30.
Okay, fine. Yeah,
Yeah?
that could be enough pre. Yeah, okay, that's enough pre-show.
Yeah, should we roll?
Are you ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
Okay, roller.
Okay, almost.
What my great book. What commercial is that?
This looks different from last week.
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Now we roll.
This is the emergency
I don't hear any sound though.
broadcast system. This is not a test.
Are we rolling? Krista's here.
Woohoo, Krista in the chat.
Woohoo! All right. So, Eric, what is this show?
What is this show? What are you talking? So,
What is this show all about?
who tuned in last week? See anybody in the chat? If anybody tuned in the chat last week, just tell us stuff. So what we're doing is we're doing a live from the MakerSpace. We're gonna have a theme every week, and we're going to show you something about our maker tech. We're going to show you about 3D printing. We're going to talk about robots. We're going to do ring the bell. So ring the bell. Anybody? Okay. Does anybody ever remember Pee-wee's Playhouse? No? A little bit? Maybe? Kinda? Anyway, we're gonna have a secret word today. So anytime anybody says the word, should I write it? I'm just gonna say it.
Okay, say it.
If anybody says the word robots, I'm gonna say ring the bell. So how do you do that on YouTube? Is there like a thing?
There's a bell where you can turn on alerts.
Yeah.
If we
Smash the
post
bell.
something,
Yeah.
then they'll get alerts.
Smash the bell.
But they don't have to do that every time we
No.
say robot.
Just scream real loud. So every time you hear us ring the bell, scream real loud. Awesome. We're just going to go through a little bit of Maker Tech every week, and we're going to tell you a little bit about everything that's going on in the Makerspace, new stuff, old stuff, awesome stuff, robot stuff, hacking board stuff. Dun, 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 dun.
So what's our theme today?
Robots? Ah, darn, you did it again, honestly. So today not only are we gonna talk about the R word, we're gonna talk about hacking old school toys. What robots are in the Makerspace? And what is a Raspberry Pi? Do you know what a Raspberry Pi is?
I don't know. Can you eat it?
Maybe. So Raspberry Pi is a little bit of a fun microcontroller-y thing. And yeah, do you think we should meet some of our friends who are in the Makerspace who
Yes.
have mechanical components to them?
Yes, I do. In fact,
Who do you have?
hold on. Let's go to Skycam.
Skycam. let's
All right.
maybe we should back up. We've got some vintage 80s robots that are here for a visit too.
We're really excited for that. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Code and Go dog.
It
Too
just seems
cute.
like a toy. Like I don't like what do you mean? How's he a robot?
Well, when you press the buttons on his back, it's like coding. And then you can tell him. So you program the directions that he's going to go when you press his back. He does those things.
Nice. Can't quite program them to not go off the table.
No,
That's
best to play
trial
with
and
him on
error.
the floor. And who's this?
I believe his name is his name Colby? I believe his name's Colby.
Definitely.
Yeah, I believe so. And if anybody's unaware, Colby is a cheese flavor. Do you know anything about cheese?
I know that I like it.
Does anybody else anybody here know about cheese? All right. Who else do we have? We have this guy is created by our friends in Kitchener who are Inksmith. They provide 3D printers and education to schools, libraries, and anybody who's into it. They've created this robot in-house in kit form, and its brain is this crazy little thing here called a microbit. And the microbit has some buttons on it, and it has some lights on it, and some interface pins. But when you take the brain, so you can either use it as a standalone and learn how to program, or you can take it, put it in the chassis of the
So
mechanical device. And then I was just about his robot. He has 2 sonar sensors, line following on the bottom, and some motors that you can program. And you can also use another microbit to be its remote. Whee!
Super cool.
Who else we got?
We also have Ozobots.
Autobots. We should show some more Autobots after, but I think that everybody, yeah, you'll see the Autobot a little bit later. Who else we got? Autobots. Oh yeah, these guys are MIT robots. You can bring them into you can come into the MakerSpace, control them from iPads, and have laser battles.
Pew 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 pew
Pew pew
pew pew. This is on the list.
On the list. This is a Lego Mindstorms robot, which you can hook up and you can build it into whatever shape you want and then program it or control it from your iPad. Totally awesome. You can even, if you want to work on these, you can come into the MakerSpace and we'll save your project for you for a couple weeks so you can come into a few different appointments and try it out. Awesome. So, what are the robots we have hanging around? There we go again. There are a couple others, and before we go too much further, though, I think we should run a commercial.
Yeah, I think it's time for a commercial break.
Okay, hang on. Let me see if I can. Can you spotlight me,
Stratford MakerSpace.
Stratford MakerSpace, and I'm going to share screen, share, YouTube,
Why no spotlight?
and we're gonna go right back. Okay. See what this is from Retro Ontario. Da, 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 da.
Oh, spotlight. It's still Skycam. I can't get it to spotlight.
Oh. Huh. Try rolling that again at the end. Do you think that came through?
I don't think so. I think it was Skycam the whole time.
Skycam the whole time. Oh, darn. Okay.
Oh no, it is going through. It's gone through.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Sorry about that, tech people. So those guys there were called Robotix. This is a robot from 1985, 84,
83.
83, and here's one right here. And I wonder, like, yeah, I think this is a good angle. So what it was a building set, and then you had this big control box to D-cell batteries, and you could operate all of the controls by hooking them up to these buttons. And then they do stuff. But it's kind of like more of a mechanical being than a robot. It doesn't seem to have any intelligence.
No, I don't think so. When you look deep inside its mouth, I don't see any brain.
And right here, there's an operator.
Oh yeah.
So rather than being manipulated by something else, it's just kind of more of a mechanical toy rather than a robot.
Oh. Nice workaround.
So what we thought we'd do is we'd like totally hack these guys into Raspberry Pi. And I told you guys a little bit about a Raspberry Pi. But one of the things that happened when we were putting them together is bits and pieces started to just shatter because the plastic was so old. The whole battery box just shattered on the one of them. And yeah, do you remember them shattering it when you played with them as a kid?
No, they worked really well when I was a kid and nothing broke. They're quite sturdy, actually.
I remember a couple of them breaking, but yeah, I think the plastics degraded. Awesome. So what we're gonna do, let's run it. Should we roll the segment?
Yeah, you ready? I got it right.
You got it?
I got it.
Done. Roll the segment. So what's a Raspberry Pi? Do you eat a Raspberry Pi? Nah. Raspberry Pi is a tiny little computer. So this is a Raspberry Pi. In its main form, it's got HDMI ports on it. It's got a USB-C for power. It's got audio out. It has a video screen out, or you can also plug in cameras to these. It's got USB ports, a LAN plug. This model even has onboard Wi-Fi, and it has a whole bunch of pins that let you interface into the Pi and out of the Pi. And I'll explain that more in a second. This is also a Raspberry Pi, just a different model. This is a Raspberry Pi in a really great box. This is a Pi 400, which is now available as a maker kit. And it has a keyboard attached and ports on the back. And this is a Raspberry Pi pad. So it's like an iPad, but inside of it, there's a Raspberry Pi. So that's great. What does it do? Just like a regular computer, you can boot this up, and it's got a version of Linux on it, which looks almost the same as Windows, and it acts pretty much the same as Windows. There's a whole bunch of programs on it that you can do programming with. You can surf the web. You can also turn this into a gaming machine. So you can put on a different type of software on it, which allows you to run emulators for video games, and then you can plug in USB joysticks and run that way. The hard drive is
a micro SD card, so you can have a whole bunch of different hard drives loaded up. One could have the regular Raspberry Pi interface on it. One could have the emulation station for setting up retro gaming or whatever custom setups you want to do. And you can just quickly swap the hard drives in and out.
So do you feel that kind of explains what a Raspberry Pi is?
Yeah, I think so. I know now that I unfortunately can't eat.
It didn't bring it to eat. Yeah, okay. So one of the cool things that you can do with Raspberry Pis, like obviously you can do programming with them, and that's what we're going to do today. But one of the things that I really like about it is you can turn it into a retro gaming console.
Cool.
And you can plug in USB joysticks and all kinds of stuff and then run emulators of all your favorite games. And it just plugs into your TV, and it can also do everything else at the same time.
Can you play Atari games?
You bet.
Nintendo games?
Yeah.
Commodore 64 games?
Absolutely. I also, but I have my original, I have a real Commodore 64, so.
And it still functions?
I think so. We found a lot of the stuff that we started to work on. A lot of the 80s tech wasn't functioning properly. All of these Robotix motors did not work. They had to be taken apart, and we had to clean the contacts to make the motors run. Oh. So let's go through, we're going to kind of go through how we're getting from these buttons to the Raspberry Pi, right? So, and I think I've got a video to do that. But so these are just buttons, and when I press one side, it goes one way, and I press the other side, it goes the other way. So it's a switch, and it's a light switch on your wall, just turns things on and off. This is kind of like a momentary switch, right? Yeah. So what we're going to use, and you know what? I say, let's hit the segment.
Yeah.
Let's hit the segment. See what the segment says about switches and relays, and then we'll go a little bit deeper. Before we dive too deep into how everything's working, I'm just going to show you a couple simple circuits. Here we have a battery pack, we have two wires coming out of it, and we have a light bulb. When we connect both of the wires to this light bulb, it lights up. Super simple. Now let's have a quick look at how a switch works. So I have a battery right here. I have a light bulb that when I connect both of the wires to, like we just found out, the light bulb will light up. And I have a switch, and this switch has a sender and this piece, and nothing's happening right now. But when I make the connection like this, the light lights up, and when I remove it, it turns off. So all I'm doing is taking two pieces of metal and sticking them together, and this is basically the broken part of the wire. So there's no wire between here and there, but there is now. So on the Raspberry Pi and most microcontrollers, there's these pins, which we talked about are called inputs and outputs. And an input is something like a switch. So if on this one, we can program it to be a button on the keyboard, or in the real world, a switch would also be an input. And when I make that connection, something happens. However, on the Raspberry Pi, when I press this, nothing happens until I program it in the code. Okay. So we've just seen what an input does. Now an output makes something happen in the real world. So if I want to turn on this light, I can't just plug it into here and it'll light up. I need to use a relay so that this is a bigger voltage than what this puts out, and I don't want to fry the circuit. So this little voltage turns this relay on and off,
And this relay turns the big voltage on and off. So it's like a triggered switch. So right here, I have a ginormous relay. This is a little relay and you can't really see inside of it. On this side, we have a small circuit that accepts outputs from the microcontroller. On this side, it's like a big switch. So this relay here is like this. And this is a ginormous relay. And you can actually see there's a little coil in here. And that makes this part move up and down. And this is my power. So my power goes through the relay and it's broken right here and the light won't light up. But when I turn on one of my output pins on my microcontroller, it will trigger this relay like that. This tiny relay is exactly the same as this relay, but this one's for much larger voltages and it's really old. But inside of here, there's a tiny little one of these coils.
And we're back.
And we're back. Awesome. You know what? Just before we go too much further, I'm going to take this file and I'm going to put it onto this red drive and I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right.
Because it won't play from my computer because of cyberspace.
Oh.
I hate cyberspace when it's being irritating. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go.
Thank you.
That's the commercial audio.
Ah, got it.
Ah, okay. Because we're live.
Because we're live.
Awesome.
So switches and relays.
Switches and relays. Do you guys kind of get switches and relays now?
Yeah, I do.
Do you understand switches?
I understand switches.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, no circuit.
Right.
Right.
So yeah. So switch turns on the light in your house, switch turns off the light in your house. If you wanted to do home automation and hook it up to your Raspberry Pi, you throw the relay into your light source. And then you can control it from the web. That's it. You bet.
All right.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of like, there's a lot of stuff that went on and there were a lot of bits and pieces that were kind of tricky to make happen. But when you break it down into just doing one relay, usually you're pretty good. So I always say, start with step one, figure it out, get that one piece running, going, so get one relay working, turning on and off. And then when you go into your code and you start experimenting with things, you can add to your code. And then once you feel really comfortable with it, add another relay. And then you've got two things happening. And then right here, we've got 8 of them. And this is the same kind of thing. One of the parts that we used for our Lights On project this winter, I used this very same board here, and I hooked it up to a lighting control. So what that let me do is it let us interface the Raspberry Pi with the lights that were on in the windows, which was really cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah, and I did the exact same thing that we're going to be doing soon, which is hacking the board. I often hack the board.
I've yet to hack the board.
Oh, we're gonna teach you guys all how to hack things. Hack things physically on the board. Cool. Do you have the right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's the audio. I won't be able to hear it, maybe.
Okay, we're gonna do an experiment. This is so. Just a second, and we're going to be going to a live commercial break. as a live commercial break. The audio will begin in.
We also need the other camera.
We just attempted a live commercial. Sorry, everyone. But the show is live from the Ozabot. We're going to attempt it.
We need to spotlight our commercial camera.
Apologies all. All right. We're going to try that one more time. And
You'll be so glad that you waited for this.
you'll be so glad that you waited for this. All right. Where is your Zoom? Oh, it's right up here. Okay. All right. Sorry, we're doing a little bit of switching around on computers. Continue. And here's Liz with a live commercial live from the MakerSpace. Done. All right. Pin, replace pin. Okay. Sorry about that. One.
Yeah, our first commercial break was.
Live commercial break.
Might have to practice that one.
Yeah, you have to practice that once more. So, it's good. I'm glad that everybody learned about Ozabot. Hopefully the commercial, yeah, sorry about the blip in the commercial. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into hacking the board. And like,
What's a board?
what's a board? What's a board? Hacking buttons. We're gonna hack buttons. So this board right here that controls all the different things on the robot is a whole bunch of buttons. And we just learned about buttons. And now we're gonna start learning, and we've learned about relays. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go inside of here and we're gonna connect to this button and this button and this one and that one. We're gonna connect to all the buttons and we're gonna hook up a relay to be that button. So when this makes a connection, something happens. It connects two pieces together here. Same here, and these are going to talk to each other.
Okay, so when you press the button,
Yes.
it talks to the relay, which talks to the Pi, which talks
No.
to the robot.
No.
No.
The Pi talks to the relay.
Yes,
The relay talks to the button.
yes.
And the button, as always, since 1985, is moving the motor.
Got it.
Got it?
Got it.
Got it. So let's do a quick little, let me show you a quick little bit of inside of how I hack this. Do you want to run the next segment?
Let's do it.
Do it. Okay, time to hack the board, hack the board, hack the board, hack the board. Okay. And now it's time for just a tip. So, just a tip. Anytime that you're putting wire into connectors like these, they're screw down terminals, use a ferrule or a ferrule tool. All you need to do is strip back a bit of wire with your wire strippers, whatever kind you have, twist it around with your fingers a little bit. Drop that guy on top, take the crimping tool, crimp it clean,
trim the edges, and now it'll slide down into your terminal. This will give you a much more positive connection and a lot less stray wires and a lot less chance of having a short. Another just a tip.
And we're back.
Awesome. And that was just a tip. So I went inside this board, like you saw, and I soldered onto every one of the connections in here that connect something to make them happen. So I can still use the buttons as normal, turn them on and off. But then I took all of these wires and I ran them down. I wonder if we can, maybe I can adjust. Oh yeah. Maybe Skycam. Can we Skycam?
We can Skycam.
Let's Skycam. All right, so this is the relay board. This is an interface to the Raspberry Pi. This is the original board, which you probably won't see anything about. You won't see anything happening because it has no light, so it's just kind of boring. And I've programmed a small little piece of code on the Raspberry Pi in Scratch, which is a really cool programming platform, super easy to learn on, and you can make things happen really quickly. And when I press spacebar on the Raspberry Pi,
It's alive.
It's alive. Let's switch to, oh yeah, let's run it twice. We'll run from this cam and then we'll switch to front cam.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, front cam.
Nope.
Oh,
That's Skycam.
sky cam. There we go. Sweet.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's alive.
So what we've done is we've taken a Raspberry Pi computer, which has about 10 bazillion more times processing power than a Commodore 64, which would have been around at the same time. We could have done this on a Commodore 64, but this is so much easier.
Yes. How about a reference for people who have never heard of a Commodore 64? How much processing power does a Raspberry Pi have compared to a modern Chromebook?
I'd say a Raspberry Pi is far more functional than a Chromebook.
Oh, shade.
Ooh, yeah. Da, 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 da. A Raspberry Pi is a computer and a Chromebook is an interface device.
Okay, true enough.
Yeah,
Okay, how
okay.
about a modern
Sorry.
laptop
Geek mode.
or iPad?
So I'd say a computer of about 15 years ago would be about the equivalent of what it is, except this one's got way more storage and hackability. It runs Linux, so you can pretty much make it do whatever you ask it to.
Linux, an operating system like Windows.
Linux is an operating system like Windows. It comes from the original, it was built on Unix. Yeah. Linux is basically, it's just another type of operating system. It's open source. And when you open up the Raspberry Pi, you're probably going to think it's Windows. Yeah. So it's really not as hard as it is. And on the Pi in Scratch, and it's kind of a little tricky to show you the code because of what everything's connected to. But what Scratch is doing is in the code, it's saying, if button A, if spacebar is pressed, turn on relay number 1 for 1 second, and then turn relay number 1 off again. And that's what made the mouth open to it. And then we said, turn relay number 2 on for 1 second. And then we said, turn relay number 2 on for a second. So it's turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off. And that's it. And you can get deeper into the code and, do even crazier stuff than that. But that's like the super simple basics. And we've packed the board.
Hack the board, hack the board, hack the board, hack the board.
Should we go a little bit deeper into board hacking? Does anybody want to see what else we can hack boards on, or should we run a commercial? I don't know. I'm a little gun shy on the commercial
I
myself.
don't want to do any more commercials.
The next commercial is live, but let me tell you one more quick thing.
Just need a line spot.
Oh, you need a line for it. Yeah, we need to have that. So the other thing, actually, we both flip back to Skycam.
Oh, I've got them both on there.
Oh, okay, we got them both on there. Cool. So this is a remote from a robot called Cranky. Oh, it's actually a crank. And there's a couple things that I can do. So number one, he's got buttons on him, just like the Robotix did. And you can hook things up to your microcontrollers that are called servos, and they're a motor that kind of goes left and right, but they're proportional. So you go. And one thing you can do is you can just hot glue these on here and make the servo push the button for you. So if I put this on here and then I tell the servo to move, that would be the same as using a relay. Only I don't have to actually hack the board. I just hack the device. So that's one option. Or if I take it apart, I can go right onto this board, look at the copper traces on it, and I can scratch some stuff away, and I can solder wires right onto there. And if anybody ever wants to learn how to do any of this, book an appointment, come in and see me. We'll hack your robots. Or whatever. We'll hack your toys. Whatever you want to make automated, we'll make it happen.
Nice.
Nice.
What if somebody wanted to program something on a Raspberry Pi at home?
Woo! Raspberry Pi Maker Kit.
Woo-hoo!
The Raspberry Pi Maker Kit is moments away from being revamped and put back on the shelf. It's currently in mending, getting an update, and turning into a really awesome kit. So you'll be able to borrow it, sign it out, and it comes with a really super concise book. It has some green boards on the front of it.
Holes in it.
It's got holes on. It's a really great book for getting started with that. And we're also revamping, while we're talking about kits, we're going to be revamping our Arduino kit.
Arduino.
And what's an Arduino between? Okay, do a quick thing. A Raspberry Pi is a computer, and it interfaces with the pins, but it's actually a computer. And an Arduino and a microbit are called microcontrollers, which means you program them once and they'll continue to run that code until they're done. So program them once, you upload the code, and that's what they'll continually do until they have no power. But the Raspberry Pi is an actual computer, so it's real time. So hopefully that makes sense. And if anybody has more questions about that, come on in.
Are we doing a live commercial?
Let's go for a live commercial. Live
Okay.
Commercial number 2.
It's time for a commercial break.
Let it go. Mindstorm. Pick your project. Build it. Code it. Connect it. And go. Awesome.
Awesome.
Live commercial.
This might be the last time we do live commercials.
Live commercials. They're awesome. If you like our live commercials,
Subscribe to our channel.
Awesome. So
Yeah. Oh, what about this? Do we have any other resources other than the Maker Kit that people can use to learn about bots?
Absolutely. Robot books. You get the first book. Here, let's take the move out.
Yep.
See if we can get some Skycam room.
Skycam room?
Yeah.
Skycam.
Go
All right,
for it.
we actually have two books for you today. This one is from the Cool MakerSpace Gadgets and Gizmos series. It's called Robotify It. Robots you can make yourself. So this book is excellent for beginners who want to try to make different robot projects at home. What is a MakerSpace? Gives you a list of things that you might need. And then gives you a very simple, straightforward project with numbered instructions and photographs. So it becomes very easy to make these things at home. And I think it has 10 projects in it. So that's good for people like me who are new to robotics.
Awesome.
Yeah, what do you have there?
Well, this one's a little bit more advanced, but what's really cool is, so this is called Homemade Robots. And inside it goes through and it shows you, it's got really decent descriptions of how things work, how nuts and bolts work, which is super handy. And then it goes into electronic circuits. So what we were just talking about, how to turn on a motor with some batteries, how a switch is going to work. And then it takes you a little bit deeper into relays and it gets into some really good information. One thing to be aware of in this book, and this is a public service announcement for this book. There's two types of servos that they talk about. This one here, which is proportional and it comes with 3 wires on it. And this one here is actually just a motor. So they took the servo brain out of this one and it's just a motor. So if you go to buy one of these, make sure you know what you're getting. Sign the book out first and figure it out because it's really awesome. But servos come in a lot of different sizes, shapes, and colors. Yeah, it shows you right here, dumb servo. It's just a motor. So, love this book. I think, yeah, it basically shows you what we've been doing here today.
It gives you simple explanations of the different components that make up robotics. So things like switches and relays that then you can get a deeper understanding and then apply in different contexts.
Yeah. Cool, love it.
Cool.
Right.
And speaking of, can you just sort of make robots out of any old thing you have lying around?
Absolutely.
Do you think?
What do you like? Of course. That's what I do. Like I do that all the time.
Are you up for a challenge?
Yeah. What do you got? What are we doing?
I have
Well, can we do look at it?
a robot box.
It's a robot box. Oh.
So this is just random parts, random spare parts, and I thought we might try to make some bots with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are the rules?
The rules. I don't know. Do we need rules? Do you have a rule to propose?
Only use what's in the box,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Can I use a hot glue gun?
Yes.
Can I use a soldering iron?
Yes.
What about, can I get tape?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you think that we should allow soldering? Yeah, let's allow soldering.
Hang on, wait a second. Yes.
Now we can allow soldering.
Do. What's in the box? What about
Go to Skycam.
Skycam?
Yep. We'll do the unboxing. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Are we on
So what's-
Skycam?
Okay. Wait, yeah. Hang on.
Is it popcorn?
That's spotlight.
Or should I open this box and see what's actually inside?
What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Wow.
Okay,
Okay,
what do we got?
we got fun foam,
A fun phone.
bowling pin,
Ooh.
some random plastic balls.
Broken 80s toys.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Ooh, conductive tape
Ooh, that's
made out of copper.
good.
Ah, some components.
Oh, dragon. Dragon.
Googly eyes. Bottle caps, lots of LEDs
All the batteries in case one doesn't work.
for batteries.
Ooh, I love it.
A pine cone. A toothbrush. Oh, it looks like we have a few options here.
Ooh.
We're not on Skycam.
We were on Skycam.
We learned.
Oh, honestly, I'm sure I was.
Now we're on
Now we're on
Skycam.
Skycam. Okay, what's your robot gonna be?
My robot. I don't know. I've never really made a robot before, I don't think.
Robot. This attached to that, can attach to that. What is going to attach to?
I want this bird to drive this dinosaur.
What can you build with?
We can't see hot glue in.
Hot glue.
Get up in here.
Can we double cam?
Yes.
Back to double cam.
Double cam.
Okay. Double cam.
If you put it here, I bet you'll be able to see it better.
Okay. Double cam.
Double cam.
Okay, while we're talking about this, does anybody in the chat have any questions for us? Any questions about? Ding. Questions about robots? Okay, this hot glue's taking a while to try.
So, I have a question about bots.
What?
What constitutes a robot? Like, how do you know when it is one or isn't one?
You know what? Do you know what's a really good source for this?
What's that?
There's a podcast
Uh-huh.
called Robot or Not.
Is it
Robot
really?
or Not.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's really great. So Robot or Not goes
Say it one more time.
goes through whether it's just a mechanical object. So the let's see. Oh yeah, I got those on. So before we added the relays to the Robotix, it was not a robot. It was just a mechanical toy. Once we put the brain in it, then it became a robot. It did something. It doesn't necessarily have to have a lot of intelligence, but it needs to be able to operate under, it needs to be able to do something under its own direction. It needs to be able to be programmed or, yeah. It's that, it's like a quadcopter. You can fly it. And it's just a quadcopter. But if it's got a brain and it kind of flies itself a little bit, then it becomes a drone. Ooh, googly eyes. Who put googly eyes in? Has anybody else made robots like this at home before? Oh.
Oh.
Ding. All right.
All right, I've got the body in mind, but I can't figure out what to do with the, I've got a battery and some LEDs that I'm gonna put in its hands.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But I don't know quite hook up the battery to the LEDs.
Okay. I'm gonna get the diagram.
The diagram.
So if I put this diagram on here, is it right side up?
We have a question from the audience.
What's it look like on, can you see? Is it?
Are
Oh, you're on
airplanes,
You put YouTube Live, sorry.
are airplanes robots if they have autopilot?
Ooh. I guess they would be. But yeah, I guess they would be. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a battery and we're gonna hook up an LED. So do you guys see the LED there? Those are like giant pictures of them. So LEDs are positive and negative. And our regular light bulbs are just, the positive and negative doesn't matter. LED part does. So where did the bag of LEDs go? Oh, there's it. Okay, we'll use this big giant one right here. So on the pin, there's a positive and a negative, and usually there's a flat side on it, which shows on here. So the flat side's negative, which is also a short lead. And I'm gonna take a little pen cell battery here, and nothing happens. When I flip it around, it lights up because the positive goes to the long lead, the negative goes to the short lead, and these two little things inside here in this magical plastic kind of light up. If you put more than just a little cell battery like this on them, it's probably going to blow it up. So you need another component that's called a resistor in place. But if we're just using batteries like these, you can just light it up, no problem. Does that make sense? Do you think of how a circuit works? Here's another one. I think that's
Yeah, okay, so it's just a simple circuit.
Yeah.
So if I put the battery in this, oh, I'm not looking my own in here. So if I put the battery in something like this,
Yeah.
then I would just have to touch the wires to these two metal pieces on the edges.
So I've got this piece right here. We use these for the lights on kits that had fiber optics in them. And yeah, it's just a little thing that holds a coin cell battery, and I've soldered the LED onto it. And when I stick it in here, this LED is a kind of a special one because it actually changes color. So it just kind of goes through a whole bunch of different colors. And if you go to the dollar store and you get the tea lights, they're the same thing. They're an LED that has a flicker built into them. So you can, instead of having to build a circuit to do all of that stuff, you could just buy something that does that stuff. And I'm gonna take one of these guys.
Can I attach two LEDs to one battery?
I think you probably can, yeah. It might get a little bit dimmer because it's sharing the electricity, but it'll be fine. And really, it's all about experimenting. Experiments.
Is this a hackathon?
Hackathon?
How long does it have to be a hackathon?
I don't know. I think this is, I guess I could do it.
Yeah. All right. This is my crude skill set here. I've got LEDs lighting up. I'm going to tape them to this. Then does it become a robot?
You know what? I think it becomes pretty awesome.
It's definitely more awesome than it was when I started.
Yeah, I think we could. For what we're doing today, I'd say we're creating robots because they're visual representations of robots. Yeah, which means
this is art.
It means they could be art bots.
Art bot.
Art bots. I think mine's going to be named Jerry, but are you going to name yours Art?
No, mine is going to be named Fred.
Fred, okay. There's some pretty generic.
All right. By the magic of television, are we almost finished?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, cool.
But the really exciting thing about this is, if you're not quite ready to hack the board, you can start hack the toys, and you can take some little bits and pieces and you can start putting them together. You could make one out of Lego. You could make one out of some old broken toys that you've asked your parents and siblings if you can use. And then take them apart, put them together, and yeah, and you can make some really cool robots. You can take little cardboard boxes and glue those together.
All right. Show and tell time.
Show and tell time.
Hold it right up to the camera.
So I've got this crazy capsule guy with some caps on him, and he's got some filament, little pieces of monofilament that turn into a whole bunch of lights. And with a little bit of heat, they'll all spread out and be pretty awesome. I think I could work on him for a little while longer and see what else I could make him do. What do you got?
I got this mechanical lizard being ridden on by a chicken holding 2 torches.
Nice. Oh, how did you get yours working?
Oh, it came that way.
It's mechanical. It's mechanical. Yes. Oh, I wanted some servos so I could make mine go.
Yeah, I wanted to make mine roll with a remote control, but I think I would need something like a micro bit or something to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and that's something else you can do is you can take broken remote control stuff apart, and it's got a motor in it. So you can hook that up to a microbit, or sometimes they have servos in them and that don't quite work, but you can hack it and put in your own servos and your own controls. So don't be afraid of taking it apart. Just take it apart. And if anybody wants to see a really fun hack, let us know. I have an unworking 80s robot. And I think he should do something. I put 4 D-cell batteries in him, and he doesn't do anything. I'm Robbie Jr.
Are you really Robbie Jr.?
I'm Robbie Jr. No, I don't think he's. I think we might have to.
If he is, he's being pretty quiet about it.
Yeah, we might have to disassemble him and.
No disassemble.
Yeah, we might have to disassemble it and reassemble. Give him a new brain. So if anybody wants to see that, let me know.
All right, we are winding down from episode 2 of Make It Live.
Woo-hoo.
So if you have any further questions, pop them into the chat, and we'll just quickly tell you all the things that are available at Stratford Public Library this week or coming up. So, Eric, what do you do if you want to make a MakerSpace appointment?
What do you do if you want to make a MakerSpace appointment? Go onto our website and go under the MakerSpace column, make an appointment. You book an hour at a time, you come in and you hang out with myself, Liz, or Brooks. And if you have a ridiculously complicated project, call ahead.
Yeah, let us know that you're
Yeah.
coming.
Send us an email, phone us. Absolutely.
Send us a message on social media. Haha. And what else is up? Community art. If you're an artist and you want to exhibit your art in the library, you can go to our website, splibrary.ca/communityart, and get in touch with Melanie Kinderchuk. She's a public service librarian here, and she will tell you how you can become an exhibitor at the library.
What else do we have? We have Squid Game Night, which is coming up on Friday, May 13th.
That's this Friday the 13th.
What? That's happening really quickly. So it's grades 7 to 12. So teen program, grades 7 to 12. Squid Game Night.
It's a drop-in.
Free pizza.
Free pizza.
Run around the library and have a really good time.
Yeah,
after hours.
yeah,
Yeah, it'll be a blast.
it's gonna be amazing. Show up early. Make sure you get a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And then join us on Monday, May 16th. We will be at the Stratford Country Club at the Sip and Shop Market. This one is, yeah, this one's gonna be totally awesome. And, oh, yeah, Liz just made another awesome newsletter. Woo!
Yeah, the newsletter's out. So if you want something in hard copy, come by the library, pick up a copy, put it on your fridge, come to everything at the library. And tune in next time,
May
May
24th?
May 24th. It's a holiday.
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday,
It's a
right
Tuesday,
after
so
your
it's
long weekend.
right after the long weekend. It's a Tuesday, directly after the long weekend.
Amazing.
And we're going to be talking about, okay, so we've just made robots. And we need to make parts for robots. And we need to make parts for other things. So we're gonna do a whole segment on 3D printing, 3D printing, 3D printing. If you have any 3D printing questions beforehand, send them to us. We'll see what we can do about answering them. We're gonna hit on all the services that we provide with 3D printing in the space, and we'll have some fun surprises.
I love fun surprises.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh, the contest.
the contest, we forgot the contest again this week.
Okay, this week's contest. If anybody's out there watching, this dude here, does anybody recognize him? His name.
Call Mr. Spur.
Mr.
That's his name. His name again is Mr. Spur.
So Mr. Spur has also been in one of our other library YouTube content videos. If you can be the first person to send us an email, send me an email, makerspace@pcin.on.ca. That name again is Mr. Spur, makerspace@pcin.on.ca, and tell us which episode he was in. There's $5 in Maker Bucks,
5 whole MakerSpace dollars.
which will buy you some amazing things in the Maker
Some
Space.
3D prints.
Oh yeah, 2 sheets of 2.5 sheets of what is it? 2 sheets of vinyl and 2 giant buttons.
2 turntables and a microphone.
Where it's at.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Stay tuned for further instructions. This is not a test.
Yes. Yes, this is a fertile land, and we will thrive. We will rule over this land, and we will call it this land. I think we should call it your grave. Ah, curse you, sudden but inevitable betrayal. Ha ha ha, mine is an evil laugh. Now die!